Good day, everyone. Mr. Himmy here, and today we'll be discussing the action fantasy film Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Prepare yourself for some spoilers. A powerful deity known as Poseidon has decided to visit the city of men, as an unusual disturbance has forced him to come closer to the shore. The god eventually transforms into a human and rushes to the city, where he secretly climbs the Empire State Building and discovers that his brother Zeus has been waiting for him the entire time. Zeus quickly realizes that he has apparently lost his most powerful weapon, the lightning bolt, and accuses Poseidon's son of being the thief who stole the object. This enrages the deity, who immediately denies the accusations. But Zeus refuses to listen and demands that his weapon be returned within 14 days, or he will be forced to start a terrible war. At the same time, Poseidon's half-human son, Percy, is attending a lecture inside a museum with his friend Grover, learning about the history of ancient Greece from their professor. However, before the class can conclude, the main character is approached by another teacher who insists on speaking privately right now. This leaves Percy with no choice but to enter the adjacent room, where he immediately notices that the woman has somehow jumped onto the nearby scaffolding. Worse, the teacher quickly transforms into a horrifying demon, who immediately attacks the main character and accuses him of stealing the lightning bolt. Fortunately, just as the monster is about to take Percy away, the fight is quickly interrupted by the man's teacher, who threatens to kill the monster immediately. This causes the antagonist to flee the building in fear, releasing the main character. The professor has no choice but to give Percy a powerful weapon, while instructing Grover to bring his friend to the camp for half-gods. The people eventually make it onto the roads, where Percy's mother reveals to her son that his father is the god of the sea. Poseidon, on the other hand, was not permitted to stay with his family because Zeus forbade the gods from ever being together with their human children. This means that Poseidon can never directly assist the main character, and the only place that can now protect him is the camp for demigods, where monsters are kept at bay by a magical barrier. What the people don't realize is that they are being pursued by a massive creature, which quickly throws a cow in front of the car, causing the vehicle to smash into the ground. Fortunately, everyone survives the crash, and Grover eventually reveals that he is a satyr by breaking the windshield and allowing everyone to escape the vehicle. However, before the people can flee, they notice that the giant monster is rushing towards them, forcing them to flee in the opposite direction. The people quickly make it to the camp's entrance and rush inside, but Percy quickly notices that the magical barrier is preventing his mother from entering the safe haven. This causes the woman to be captured by the giant monster, who reveals itself to be a massive minotaur who quickly teleports the human to another dimension. Percy notices this and decides to use his weapon to fight the giant monster in order to save his mother, but he is knocked away like a flying ragdoll and nearly crushed to death by the massive foe. However, the Minotaur eventually breaks its own horn, and Percy manages to quickly pull out the object, while stabbing the monster right in the chest, killing the giant creature, but also causing him to faint from the stress of the battle. When the main character regains consciousness, he realizes he is in a hospital being watched over by Grover, who congratulates the man on his survival. Percy, on the other hand, has no intention of staying inside the camp because he desperately wants to find his mother, but Grover advises him to train to become stronger before embarking on his quest. Soon after, the two arrive at the island's outskirts, and Percy is astounded to discover that his teacher, who had earlier saved him, is actually a centaur named Chiron, who is also in charge of the training camps, and the professor has the perfect idea to begin training the main character. The centaur quickly gathers all of the demigods within this location, while assigning Percy to the blue team led by a man named Luke, who warmly welcomes the main character to his group. The training soon begins as opposing teams try to capture each other's flags, while the demigods start fighting like it's a real battle. Fortunately, Percy and Luke escape unharmed as they search for the opposing team's flag, but the people are ambushed by the opposing team, forcing them to fight immediately. However, the two are quickly outnumbered by the enemies, and Luke is forced to sacrifice himself to keep the opponents at bay, allowing Percy to flee the ambush. This allows the main character to eventually make it to a river, where he notices the enemy flag across the water. Without a second thought, Percy rushes to the enemy's base to claim his victory, but is stopped by a woman named Annabeth, who attacks the main character mercilessly. This forces Percy to fight immediately, but he is completely overpowered by his opponent, who eventually knocks the main character to the ground, while everyone begins cheering for the girl's name. However, Percy refuses to be defeated so easily, as he instinctively crawls towards the river, and the man is surprised to see that the water is actually healing all of his wounds. Furthermore, as he begins attacking the enemy team and easily defeating all of the opponents at the same time, Percy begins to feel an incredible power surging through his body. This causes Annabeth to charge forward and attack the main character furiously, but Percy quickly disarms the girl, effectively defeating her. When the people notice this, they all begin to back down in submission, allowing the main character to retrieve the flag and win the competition. After the tournament, all of the demigods are celebrating, and while Percy has gained a lot of popularity, especially among the ladies, the man is clearly a glutton for punishment, as he only seems to be interested in the girl who nearly killed him during the competition. However, before the two can decide on a time to do some bedtime exercises, they are abruptly interrupted by Hades, a malevolent entity who has come to hunt down the main character, as he begins throwing fireballs into the crowd and causing chaos. It's quickly revealed that Hades was the one who sent the Minotaur to kidnap the main character's mother, and the evil god wants Percy to give him Zeus' lightning bolt in exchange for the woman's life. Fortunately, Percy's new friends have decided to assist him as well, while Annabeth claims that there is only one person who can help them sneak inside Hades, also known as the Underworld. Soon after, the group arrives at Luke's house, where it is quickly revealed that the man is actually Herm's son, and he has numerous artifacts from his father that can help the team find their way to Hades. This includes a pair of flying shoes that allow them to levitate, as well as a powerful shield that protects them from all elements. The most difficult task, however, is actually leaving the realm after entering the underworld, as each person requires a special pearl to teleport away from the location afterwards. The group is surprised to see the numerous statues standing inside the building when they arrive at the location where the first pearl is located. Furthermore, the team eventually finds a fountain filled with gold coins that only the ancient Greeks used, implying that the people are very close to discovering the pearl as well. The team eventually decides to split up to cover more ground, while also noticing that the sculpture's expressions are becoming more terrifying. Annabeth soon discovers another person inside the building who informs her that they are in grave danger and must flee immediately. However, before the people can leave, they are stopped by a mysterious woman in shades, who reveals that she was the one who turned all of her visitors into stone. The woman's name is Medusa, as it turns out, and she was cursed by the gods with a terrible power. Anyone who looked inside her eyes would be frozen forever, turning into nothing more than a statue in the process. This causes Annabeth to immediately close her eyes, while Medusa continues to try to turn her into stone. Fortunately, the girl is quickly found by her teammates, as Percy manages to distract their enemy, causing the monster to chase him furiously, while Grover seizes the opportunity to free Annabeth from the sculpture that is holding her arm. At the same time, Percy continues to flee the enemy, who is relentlessly pursuing him, but he is quickly duped by the hideous monster, who manages to topple the statues right on top of the main character. This eventually allows the adversary to capture the man, as she attempts to pry open the main character's eyes while forcing Percy to stay here indefinitely. Fortunately, before the monster can kill the demigod, a truck charges towards them, knocking the enemy to the ground. The others quickly reveal that they have come to save their friend as they temporarily stun the monster, allowing Percy to charge forward while slicing off the enemy's head. As they see the monster's head on the floor, the people are finally able to exit the vehicle, and the team decides to take the enemy's remains as a weapon to use against their enemies in the future. Furthermore, Percy notices the pearl on Medusa's bracelet while stealing the magical object that allows them to escape the underworld. Soon after, the people begin following the enchanted map to their next destination, eventually arriving at a massive museum dedicated to the ancient gods. When the group finally enters the building, they notice that the second pearl is directly on top of the giant statue's head, implying that they must somehow climb the sculpture to retrieve the object. This forces the people to wait until nightfall to sneak inside the massive museum, only to discover that the janitors are still cleaning the floors. Fortunately, Annabeth devises a strategy and begins shooting sleeping darts at the workers, quickly knocking them out from the shadows. When the team notices this, Luke immediately removes his flying shoes, while Percy runs towards the giant statue and begins levitating towards the sculpture's head. This allows the main character to grab onto the inclining surface as he slowly climbs towards the giant crown, eventually removing the pearl from the sculpture and landing triumphantly on the ground. However, before the people can leave the building, they are stopped by janitors who have regained consciousness and begin talking in unison to the team, demanding that they return the lightning bolt. The workers are quickly revealed to be monsters in disguise, as they begin to reveal their true form as a massive hydra, towering over everyone. The team notices this and attempts to flee for their lives as the monster shoots flames at them, causing Percy to drop the pearl in the process. This forces the demigods to draw their weapons and fight the monster from behind the cover, but Percy eventually finds an opening while charging towards the enemy's numerous heads and dodging the flamethrowers. Fortunately, the main character eventually cuts across the enemy's neck and begins slicing off the monster's heads, while inflicting massive damage on the creature and causing the giant serpent to fall to the ground. However, just as the people are about to celebrate their victory, they notice that something is wrong, as the massive monster begins to recover quickly, sprouting even more heads and becoming far more powerful than before. This forces the team to change their strategy as Annabeth rushes forward to distract the monster by shooting her arrows, giving Percy the opportunity to retrieve the magical pearl. But the monster uses its deadly flames to stop the main character and trap the demigod behind the sculpture. Fortunately, just before Percy is killed, the main character detects his power emanating from the water fountains and eventually manages to conjure up a massive wave towards the giant monster, forcing the serpent to retreat immediately. The demigod notices this and quickly retrieves the pearl before fleeing with his friends, only to discover that the doors leading to the outside have been locked from the start. This leaves the people with no choice but to take Medusa's head and point it directly at the giant serpent, eventually turning the enemy into a massive sculpture and allowing the demigods to win the battle. Soon after, the team decides to continue on to their next destination in order to retrieve the final pearl, eventually arriving at the Lotus Casino in Las Vegas. When the visitors enter the colorful structure, they are met by a swarm of waitresses who offer them free lotus cakes. Without a second thought, the people begin eating the food and quickly experience a strange sensation that causes them to completely forget about their quest to find the pearl. As a result of their constant consumption of the lotus flower, the group becomes mesmerized by the numerous entertainments inside the building, keeping them hypnotized from reality. However, Percy eventually finds the pearl on the gambling table, which reminds him of their true reason for coming here in the first place, as he refuses to eat the lotus flowers any longer. Realizing they had fallen for the enemy's trap, the main character rushes to his friends, attempting to awaken them from their trance, while telling the team that they must leave this location immediately. This causes the people to rush to the exits as the security guards try desperately to prevent the group from leaving the building. But the demigods easily defeat the enemies, allowing Percy to grab the magical pearl at the same time. The group quickly makes it to a show car and rushes inside, before driving the vehicle off the stage and crashing directly through the front doors, allowing them to escape from this living nightmare. However, before the people can leave the city, they realize they have been trapped inside the casino for several days, and only have 24 hours before the gods begin the horrific war. Fortunately, the people use the map to find their final destination, and they eventually arrive at the famous Hollywood Mountain. As a mysterious entrance begins to appear on the ground, it is quickly revealed that the door to Hades is located directly behind the Hollywood sign. This allows the group to go inside, eventually arriving at a room filled with skeletons, where they see the infamous entity in charge of transporting dead souls to the underworld. Fortunately, the people manage to pay the person with the golden coins from Medusa's lair, allowing them to eventually board the boat and travel to the other dimension, which is filled with misery and death. Soon, the people are brought in front of Hades' massive castle, while the group slowly exits the boat with their weapons drawn and carefully enters the mysterious building. However, the team is quickly confronted by a pair of aggressive hellhounds who threaten to kill the people right away, but they are eventually rescued by Hades' wife, also known as Persephone. Surprisingly, the woman has no intention of harming her guests, as she decides to lead them to her husband, who quickly reveals himself to be the king of the underworld, demanding that the main character immediately draw the thunderbolt. However, Percy denies ever stealing the weapon from Zeus, which enrages Hades, who quickly releases the main character's mother so that the demigod can watch the woman die. Percy notices this and drops his weapons as he rushes to embrace the woman. However, Hades quickly realizes that the lightning bolt has been hiding inside the main character's shield the entire time. This allows the evil god to finally obtain the magical weapon while also increasing his power, and the people quickly realize that Luke was the one who stole the lightning bolt from the gods. Despite finally getting what he wanted, Hades has no intention of letting the people go free, as he plans to take the prisoners' souls while killing them all. Fortunately, Persephone quickly betrays her husband and takes away the lightning bolt as she unleashes a powerful blast towards Hades, knocking him onto the walls like a flying ragdoll. This eventually saves the others from the flames, as they rush behind the goddess to fight, but Persephone quickly informs the people that she is not their enemy. It quickly becomes clear that the woman has long desired vengeance against her husband, as Hades was responsible for separating her from her family and trapping her in the underworld for countless years. Surprisingly, the woman eventually returns the lightning bolt to Percy in order to prevent the gods from starting the war as well. However, before they can leave, the people realize that they only have 3 magical pearls, which means that one person must remain behind. Grover, to their surprise, volunteers to stay in the underworld because he clearly wants to do some bedtime exercises with the devil's wife. Soon after, the people place their individual pearls on the ground before stepping on them, causing them to be teleported away from this world, eventually returning the humans to the Empire State Building, which is directly connected to the heavens. However, just as the group is about to enter, they are stopped by a flying enemy who turns out to be Luke. It quickly becomes clear that he was the mastermind behind everything that occurred, as he wishes for the gods to be destroyed so that his generation can become the new rulers of humanity. Soon after, the villain attacks Percy from the sky, attempting to prevent the main character from returning the lightning bolt, and quickly manages to kick the demigod to the ground while stealing the magical weapon. This enables Luke to become even more powerful as he begins shooting devastating energy beams at the people, resulting in massive explosions. The villain notices this and quickly takes advantage of the opportunity to flee, not realizing that Percy still has the flying shoes, allowing the main character to pursue the enemy into the sky. This causes the two demigods to collide in the sky as they fight for the lightning bolt, but Luke manages to gain the upper hand by knocking the main character away with tremendous force. Fortunately, Percy recovers from the attack, but he is forced to flee inside a skyscraper while the enemy pursues him. However, the main character quickly turns the battle around by launching from the side at the opponent, causing Luke to drop the lightning bolt in the process. This allows the main character to finally obtain the magical weapon as he attempts to fly back towards his friends, but is quickly attacked from behind, causing Percy to fall from the sky and crash land onto a building. Things worsen when the antagonist reclaims the lightning bolt while forcing the main character into a corner. Fortunately, just as Percy is about to be killed, he begins using his powers again, summoning waves of water from the pressure tanks and launching the liquids directly at Luke while using tremendous force to knock him down. This completely defeats the opponent, but Luke eventually manages to get up because he refuses to lose the fight so easily. When the main character notices this, he quickly summons his trident from the water, launching the weapon directly at the enemy and hurling him into the ocean. This eventually allows Percy to return the lightning bolt to his friends, as he quickly enters the secret entrance that leads directly to the other gods. Fortunately, just as Zeus is about to complete the Doomsday Countdown, Percy arrives in time to return the lightning bolt to its rightful owner, while explaining that Luke was the one who stole the weapon in the first place because he wanted the gods to destroy themselves. This makes the people realize their folly, and they eventually return to contemplation, while the main character's father finally gets to see his child again. The god apologizes for never being by Percy's side, but expresses how much he truly loves his son, eventually reconciling with the protagonist. Percy eventually returns to the camp and is surprised to see that Grover has returned to the human world after many exciting bedtime exercises with Hades' wife. Furthermore, Percy appears to have discovered a genuine reason for remaining in this camp as they begin training to protect the human world from future threats. So, what are your thoughts on this film? Please let me know in the comments section below. And if you enjoy my videos, please like them and subscribe for more. I'll see you all again soon.